Jordyn, I'm going to try and figure out if I can ask this in the right way. What is your philosophy on kind of building as the season goes on with skills and challenges versus wanting to be at a level early where you still feel like you're competing? I don't know if I'm asking that right. Is there a build up to that, or how do you approach that?
Yeah, I understand your question. And I think for me, the start is really important. How we show up that first meet, which I was really happy with this past week. We always want to come out of the gates really confident, because I feel like not only does that help the team's mindset, it's safer in terms of, risking injuries and things like that, but also it shows the country and the judges that we're here. And I think we turned a lot of heads this past weekend. And so that was the goal. And then just as the athletes said, the whole philosophy from here on out is get a half tenth better each week. And if each person can continue to grow and get better and improve from week to week, then that's how we get where we need to be by the postseason. And it is a matter of kind of pacing and being really smart about training in the meantime, as to not, burn out or risk injury during the week. But we want to continue to get better each week, and it's as simple as that.
There were probably for both teams a higher number of stumbles, or maybe stepping out, or a few more things than either team would probably like, and yet there were certainly a number of positives too. So is that probably an area over the next couple of meets where there's a few less of those, so as the scores probably will increase too?
I think so. I rewatched the meet and kind of we debriefed it as a team, and the mistakes that were made were not because of a lack of preparation. I can say that pretty confidently. The mistakes that were made, I kind of chalk them up to first meet jitters or kind of flukes, because our team really has been training really well. So I think, over the next couple of meets, we'll work out some of those things and settle in just a little bit more, especially on events like Beam. You never really know what to expect in the first meet from Beam, because it is only 4 inches wide. And so they need, usually a meet just to kind of settle in. And a lot of them did really well. A lot of them looked settled in the first meet, but especially with some landings on floor, some cast handstands on bars, those are things that our team knows that they can improve on and knows they're capable of it. It's just a matter of doing it when it counts.
All right, Tom, do you have any questions?
I do. Jordyn, how confident were you that you guys were going to come out of the gate like that?
I was very confident. This team has shown a different level of confidence than I saw from the team last year. They were confident, but it's a little bit, it's higher this year. And it's helped having people like Maggie come in and have a really strong senior class. And then, having some superstars like Kennedy, and they have built their own confidence throughout the preseason. And then we've talked a lot about, just doing normal and not making things a bigger deal than they have to. And so when you build up that pressure, you get a little more nerves. And so the whole conversation before the meet started was, let's just do what we do in practice and not make this a big deal. Let's get in, let's do our job, and we'll go home and focus on the next meet. So I think that kind of language and that conversation really helped kind of settle their nerves a little bit. But I was every bit expecting that they would come out as strong as they did. I definitely think there were areas that we could have done better. But I think that we're confident they're going to improve throughout the season on those areas.
Okay, and I had a question about the atmosphere. I'm surely not as big of a crowd as there would have been, and as Maggie said, you were in your own amoeba, and now you have to do that at home. What do you expect the atmosphere to feel like in Barnhill?
I think the atmosphere is still going to be great. We're definitely going to have less fans. We've got a limited capacity because we have to socially distance and all of that. But my message to anybody that comes and actually gets to sit in Barnhill Arena is, we're going to be a smaller crowd, but we need to be mighty. And I hope that, that crowd of 1,200 people feels like 7,000 people. And that's my mission for everyone sitting in the crowd. And we want to keep that energy up. It really does help our team. And, based on what I saw at football and in basketball, that energy is still possible with fewer fans. So I'm really excited. I think our team will feel really comfortable and at home. We've trained in Barnhill quite a few times already in the preseason. So they know the equipment. They love it. They're excited to be back home in their house. But nonetheless, exactly the same that we did at LSU. We talk about what is potential noise or distractions that could get in our way. And we're going to address those things and be aware of them so that they can block out that noise and really be that bubble that Maggie was talking about. So that is the same from home to away. There's distractions and they just look a little bit different, but we're going to do our best to block out the distractions and stay focused.
I got one more, but I wanted to pass on to anyone else who has questions.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Jordyn, there's been some buzz around Emma and obviously her ties to LSU. Can we expect her to get some action on Friday?
It's still up in the air. She was in quarantine for a while for COVID protocols. So she's had limited training and we're not sure if she's going to be ready to come back and compete this weekend. But, once she gets back and gets a little more consistent training, I fully expect to see Emma in at least one, if not multiple events throughout the season.
And then for you guys, after your first meet, jumping from 15 to 6, how rewarding is that for you guys to know that, just after one time out there, the hard work is paid off and people are recognizing that?
It's a good feeling, but at the same time, not many teams competed this past weekend. So I got to be realistic and know that, we have to continue getting better and we have to be able to show up and do what we've trained to do when it counts, when the judges are sitting there. So I'm not getting overconfident. I know we still have to keep putting in the work and quite honestly, we got to get a little healthier too. So we're going to continue doing those things as the weeks go on.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordyn.
Jordyn, you have trained me over and over that it isn't a head-to-head competition as much. Sometimes it is focusing on your scores. But when in that LSU meet, when you come down to the final couple of competitions and the win or loss is predicated on the final couple, does it feel different? What is that like when, a good performance or not so good will determine whether or not you win or lose that meet?
Yeah. I like winning just as much as the next person, and it's fun because, bragging rights and all that, and especially being in the SEC, it's sometimes that's where the focus is. But yes, I've said it before. What matters is that we be the best version of our team on that day. When it comes down to those last couple routines, what you really want to see is athletes that can handle that pressure. And I think we saw that in Kennedy at LSU. We had a mistake on being with Sarah, and then Sophia did really well, but missed a connection. So started from a 9-9, and then it was Kennedy last, and that was her first time being our beam anchor. So she, not only that, but the crowd was going insane during her beam routine. So I saw exactly what I wanted to see from Kennedy, and that was handling that pressure with poise and just did not let it get to her. So at the end of the day, I'm really happy with that. I always look back and think, okay, we lost by 2/10. Where could we have picked up those 2/10? And I drive myself nuts with that. But I think it's only fuel for us. I think getting so close to beating LSU boosted our confidence, but we talked about it as a team. We don't get better if we focus on beating other people, because it takes the focus off of ourselves and what we need to do personally. So we're not, it might as well be any team coming in this weekend. It just so happens to be the same team, but we're going to focus on us. We've talked to the team about that. They are on board and they are figuring out ways they can get a 0.5 better on their own routines and not on what we need to do to beat the other team.
And I just had a quick finale here. What's the update on Kiara? Might you expect her back on an event or two, and other general health?
She's doing much better. She's recovering. She, we may see her on bars this weekend. We're going to wait to see how training goes tomorrow and see, but she's making her way back very well. Hopefully bars first, and then after that, not long after beam, hopefully by next weekend when we compete against Florida. And then, we'll work back into vault and floor a little bit slower, but hopefully, as long as training goes well tomorrow, we might see her in bars, but it's still up in the air.
Same two on all around, maybe?
Yes.
All right, do we have any more questions from anybody else? All righty, thank you so